In a quick burst of pace there for the inquiry with 4 witnesses in one day, all of them really brief. Let's start with Adrian Prinsloo. He's been tracking this particular story for quite a number of years. What did he have to say?
Yes, Adrian Prinsloo has in fact been reporting on Bosasa since 2006, and he testified on a death threat he received by phone after he published a story saying, "Here's the proof, Minister." That was then with the Mail and Guardian, and detailed the contract between Bosasa and the Department of Correctional Services. And in that article, he referred to verified emails from within Bosasa, internal emails that the Mail and Guardian had verified, that showed that Bosasa was responsible for stipulating the tender sort of details and really sort of setting the rules, you could say, for the correctional services tender that it then won. And he also detailed the sort of backlash he received, not only a death threat by phone from a woman who he later found out to be Benedicta Dube, but also allegations of racism against Basson for his investigative work on Bosasa. Let's have a look.
Was a period during that time when I started receiving calls on my cellular phone. These calls, there was a lot of these calls. They came during the day and night, early hours of the morning. Sometimes the calls came from a number that was visible on my phone. I remember still saving these numbers after the calls, using terms like Bosasa Angry 1, Bosasa Angry 2. And there were also unknown numbers, so I couldn't see the number of the caller, and then also some landlines. The purpose of these calls, or the message of these calls, were always a person claiming that they are a Bosasa employee, and then saying to me that I, Adrian, are threatening their jobs, that I will cost them to lose their jobs, that I must stop my writing, I must stop my reportage on Bosasa. And there were also some of the callers, I remember quite vividly, accusing me of racism, that I was only doing these articles because I'm white and I'm a racist. There were a number of these calls, and it was definitely during a specific period. I clearly remember that I blocked some of these numbers, obviously not to receive the calls from them again. It was obviously upsetting and perturbing receiving these calls late at night or in the early hours of the morning. Also profanities used during some of these calls. If I may say, Chair, some of the calls, for example, said, "I must stop my shit, I must stop writing about Bosasa." And so it was really a kind of aggressive tone from the callers that made it very clear that I am endangering their livelihoods and should stop this nonsense.
So the other witnesses, Erin, included the investigators, some of the investigators for the commission, including Themba Mlambo. And we've heard a lot about these security installations at the homes of key politicians, many of them with the ANC, some of them in government. What did Themba Mlambo have to say about this issue that has become such a huge talking point?
Well, what Mlambo did was to confirm that Richard Leroux, who's currently employed at an IT subsidiary of Africa Global Operations, took him, this is Mlambo, Leroux taking him to 4 Gauteng properties, 4 people that on Leroux's testimony received undue security upgrades and maintenance to their private homes, including, I must emphasize because we keep seeming to miss this, the Deputy Minister of Justice and Correctional Development, someone who's currently serving in a position that is supposed to speak to law enforcement and law and order, really, in the Republic. And what Mlambo did was discuss the different properties. He said that Leroux directed him to these properties without any sort of prompting from anyone. It was all based on Leroux's memory, really corroborating some of Leroux's testimony last week on the special operatings or special projects unit at Bosasa. So let's have a look at what Mlambo had to say about those property visits.
The first address, Chairperson, was the address that he pointed out as that which is allegedly belonging to Ms. Mokonyane. In this particular address or the premise, the team installed CCTV cameras according to him, and when we did inspection, he realized that the same cameras that the team installed were still in existence.
And that was in the inspection conducted in your presence?
In my presence. It was myself and Mr. Leroux in the car. This particular address, when we interrogated it, and also with the help of the team, we discovered that it belonged to Mr. Desmond Ney. And this address is in Pretoria. I will not disclose all the details of the addresses, but at best I will say it is in Pretoria.
Did it belong to only Desmond Ney?
It belongs to Desmond Ney and Pavalani Ney.
Right. Once again, were you given any information by Mr. Leroux as to what the task team or the special projects team did at that site?
That is correct. According to him, he said that the team did installation of cameras, electric fence, and the beams. And from his observation, when I was with him, he indicated that all those still existed as he could see them. The last premise visited belonged to Vincent G. Smith Family Trust.
Well, what did Mr. Leroux say to you?
According to Mr. Leroux, he observed that the camera at this particular address, the cameras rather, are different from the ones that his team installed. However, he further observed that what appears to be the same electric fence that was erected by the special projects team still existed.
Finally, Erin, very quickly for us, recap the evidence of Gregory Lawrence. We heard during Akritz's testimony how money was nothing really at Bosasa, and it would be called monopoly money, crazy money. And it seems Gregory Lawrence seems to corroborate that.
Yes, Gritzi said that 6 million rand in cash on his allegation for bribes per month was but a drop in the ocean. And Lawrence showed us a number of video clips of himself delivering cash to Bosasa premises. He oddly couldn't identify the man in the videos who was, he says, his contact person for all of those cash deliveries. We've confirmed it's Jacques van Sale of Bosasa. And in one of those clips, Tulas, you actually see boxes with wads of cash tied up in elastic bands in the back of Lawrence's vehicle, and he was involved in this cash flow stream to Bosasa, and said that even though there were rumors in the industry that Bosasa paid bribes, he still continued with this work in cooperation with a man named Greg Laken Allen, who's also come up as being involved in providing cash to Bosasa, understood to be for those alleged bribes.
I tell you, you can't make this stuff up. ENCA's Erin Bates, she's been watching the State Capture Commission of Inquiry for us and has just given us a wrap of what came up today.